Good evening, everyone, and thank you again, Brett. And welcome to Fox News Primetime. I'm Tammy Bruce. And tonight, Joe Biden's weakness and failure on the world stage is as undeniable as ever. Last night, we discussed the smash-and-grab looting of this country by the Democrats through their policies and through legislation. But that's not the only front of destruction we're facing. The Biden-Harris clown show is also looting us of our reputation, our standing, and our influence upon the world. Because as American adversaries like Russia and China intensify their aggression, the Biden administration is retreating to the same political platitudes, the same tired Washington tropes, and the same tepid responses to global threats staring us right in the face. Earlier today, Joe Biden met virtually with Russian President Vladimir Putin, and typically, instead of signs of decisive action from our commander-in-chief to keep a hostile actor in check, what we're seeing from the Biden gang is a reflex to appease our enemies while abandoning our allies and ignoring the reality of how Biden set this dangerous table.
The withdrawal from Afghanistan, which was widely criticized, how do you respond to that criticism that President Biden is being too weak with Mr. Putin?
Vladimir Putin, standing behind then President Medvedev in 2008, invaded Georgia when we had 150,000 or more troops deployed in Iraq and Afghanistan. So the connection between our deployments in foreign wars and the calculus of Russian leaders when it comes to the post-Soviet space, there's not good evidence to support that.
What did that mean? It was clearly a deflection from Jake Sullivan. The question was about the impact of our embarrassing Afghanistan retreat on our national security, not about troop levels in the Middle East. So leave it to Sullivan to continue spreading lies about Russia, just like he did 5 years ago when he was pushing the Steele dossier for Hillary Clinton. Don't forget that. And the threats are showing no signs of slowing down. Russia is well on their way to a military buildup along the Ukrainian border. It's so serious, there are now reports Biden is telling Americans we'll evacuate them if need be. Considering what happened in Afghanistan, that sounds more like a threat than a promise. Now, we continue to see signs of China's increasing aggression towards Taiwan, in addition to reports of the construction of a military base off of Africa's Atlantic coast. And to many Americans, the mess in Afghanistan understandably still looms large. Americans and our allies remain trapped in that hellhole, a story most legacy media continues to ignore. Surrendering to the Taliban, leaving in haste with apparently little plan or strategy, abandoning our fellow Americans. They're still in there, you guys. It's all undermined confidence in America's resolve, and the world has noticed. When will the Biden gang be honest about their mistakes, about their missteps, and about their lack of solutions? Only when that happens can we get off our knees. Because get this, the administration announced this week a diplomatic boycott of the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing, which are happening this February, meaning that no diplomatic officials or official representatives will attend the games. But let's be honest, does anyone really care if Secretary of State Tony Blinken or some random undersecretary or Joe Biden, even for that matter, doesn't attend the Olympics? Even the Chinese Communist Party says it's a meaningless action and that no one really cares. When asked about the decision, Jen Psaki said this.
We will not be contributing to the fanfare of the games. U.S. diplomatic or official representation would treat these games as business as usual in the face of the PRC's egregious human rights abuses and atrocities in Xinjiang.
You know, ask yourself, what exactly is this empty gesture supposed to accomplish? Is this supposed to strike fear into the heart of our enemies? Is this supposed to help hold Beijing accountable for their ongoing human rights abuses? Will it help stop Chinese theft of American intellectual property or stop any of their malign behavior? And it's the same weakness from the Democratic establishment we see abroad that's also present here at home. Pandering to progressives on some of the most extreme policy positions, pandering to those who want the most devastation and the most control. It's all now at the center of the Democrat playbook because for whatever reason, most moderate center liberals that are still around are bending the knee to it. All of this is fed by the same feckless weakness, the same lack of ideals, principles, and vision, resulting in empty actions, bad decisions, constant lying, in fact, then to cover up the charade. The Democratic Party, more than ever, is being driven by miserable, incompetent weaklings. There's no other way to put it. Unable to even fully grasp the implications of their own policies. Consider this. After 4 years of hysterical Russia collusion fear-mongering, What's one of the first things Joe Biden did when he got into office? He killed the pipelines here in the United States and then cleared the way for the Nord Stream 2 pipeline that will give Putin even more control over Europe. That alone, of course, was a signal to Putin that the new American president was incompetent and willing to abandon his own country and Europe to the bloody Russian bear. And now here we are, with the Biden administration pleading with OPEC to drill more oil as energy prices surge here at home. Now Biden is reduced to begging Germany to step in and cancel the controversial pipeline if Russia invades Ukraine. All of this was predictable and predicted. The same corruption and rot that has contributed to inflation, to the supply chain crisis which continues, COVID response failures, the crime surge. It's the same feckless idiocy that is inspiring the bad guys around the world. And what's the Biden team's response to all of this? Actually complaining that the press coverage is just too darn negative. As White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain is now trying to claim that the media has been tougher on Biden than they ever were on Trump. You know, what exactly were you expecting, Ron? Maybe he might be watching. To receive glowing coverage of the debacle in Afghanistan, or fawning praise for surging prices, or endless puff pieces for Biden breaking nearly every one of his major campaign promises. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, that was exactly what Ron Klain was expecting, and directly indicts the condition of America's legacy media. And are we really, you have to ask, expected to believe that the same media that went all out to smear Trump, 24/7, and to protect Joe Biden during the entire 2020 campaign, accepting a basement campaign, is suddenly too hard on poor old Joe and company? Yeah, no, not really, not a chance. Whatever critical coverage Biden is receiving is a result of his failures being so undeniable and obvious that there's not much else left to say. And get this, we are now learning that the White House is working behind the scenes with news outlets to find and get a more positive coverage in an apparent effort to have the press help them cover up for their massive failures. Now they're not even trying to hide the collusion. It's weakness like we've never seen, and frankly, panic as well. Rather than actually find solutions to mounting crises, the Democrats' solution is to find new and creative ways to reshape the coverage in their favor and win the news cycle.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.